Corky Lee. Young Corky Lee, September 5, 1947, January 27, 2021, was a Chinese-American activist, community organizer, photographer, journalist, and the self-proclaimed unofficial Asian American Photographer Laureate. He called himself an ABC from NYC, wielding a camera to slay injustices against others. His work chronicled and explored the diversity and nuances of Asian American culture, often ignored and overlooked by mainstream media, striving to make Asian American history a part of American history. American photographer. Early life and education. Lee was born on September 5, 1947, in Queens, New York City. He was the second child of Lee In-chuk and Young-si Lee, both of whom had immigrated to the United States from China. His father, who had served in the U.S. Army in World War II, owned a laundry. His mother was a seamstress. Lee had an older sister, Fee, and three younger brothers, John, James, and Richard. Lee attended Jamaica High School before going on to study American history at Queens College, and early taught himself photography, borrowing cameras because he could not afford his own. He said his work was inspired by an 1869 photograph he had seen in a social studies textbook that celebrated the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad at Promontory Summit, Utah. While a massive construction project had employed thousands of Chinese workers, the photo depicted only white laborers. Photographic work. Lee's work documented key events in Asian American political history. His 1975 photograph of a Chinese American man being beaten by NYPD officers was featured in the New York Post. On the day the picture was published, 20,000 people marched from Chinatown to City Hall protesting police brutality. Lee photographed protests after the 1982 murder of Vincent Chin in Michigan. Chin was a young Chinese-American man living in Detroit who was killed by Ronald Benz, a superintendent at Chrysler Motors, and his stepson. The perpetrators attacked Chin, of Chinese descent, after mistaking him for being Japanese, as Japanese companies were blamed for the loss of American auto industry jobs. Lee's title as undisputed unofficial Asian American Photographer Laureate was self-proclaimed but never questioned. His photographs documented the daily lives of Asian Americans as well as historical moments in American history. Lee said his camera was a sword to combat racial injustice, to memorialize and make visible those who would otherwise be invisible by documenting the lives of minority American cultures and communities. Shen Jiang, writing in the New Yorker, described the cultural impact of Lee's work. Lee was to Chinatown what Bill Cunningham was to the sartorialists of Manhattan, and what Roy DeCava was to post-Renaissance Harlem. Later life. New York City Mayor David Dinkins proclaimed May 5, 1988 Corky Lee Day, recognizing Lee's work as an important contribution to New York City communities. Lee regularly published photographs to weekly local newspapers Downtown Express and The Villager during the Ers and Ers. Lee's wife, Margaret D., died of cancer around 2001. Lee died at Long Island Jewish Hospital, Forest Hills on January 27, 2021. He was 73 and developed complications of COVID-19 in the time leading up to his death. It is likely that he became ill while patrolling Chinatown with neighborhood watch groups that were protecting residents from anti-Asian violence. Legacy. On May 5, 2023, Lee was honored with a Google Doodle,